Good Wednesday evening, everyone. This is Mitch. Hope you guys have had a great day and a great work week so far. Of course, we're going to continue updating you guys on what is going to happen really starting here in the next, this evening, overnight into tomorrow. And then it really cranks up for the Eastern U.S. getting into Friday, overnight Friday and a Saturday morning. So we're going to talk about this and give you the latest and greatest information, what is going on as far as snowfall accumulations, as far as who's going to see snow, who's going to see what. We're going to talk about the strong winds associated with this system also, talk a little severe weather, and just get y'all some updated information. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I try to keep pumping out content, even in the slow times. I try to do these 2 a days. I started doing this, a few months back, and people seem to like it. So, it flows well with my schedule. I'm a very active guy, and I just try to keep up a pretty fast pace in life. So I hope you guys are enjoying the content. Thank y'all for giving me a platform to talk about what I love, which is the weather. So if you guys got anything I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray for it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. We can all look out for one another and glorify God doing it. So hit me up on social media, Twitter, Facebook, very active on both. It's a great way to just keep up with the latest and greatest information with a lot of great people on there to follow also. So let's get going here. We're going to talk about what's going on as far as hazards, as far as watches and warnings. You got winter storm warnings up for every single most southern county of Nebraska. You got winter weather advisories up for the surrounding counties above this, or around it is what I meant to say. And then here in Kansas, the entire northern half of Kansas, winter storm warnings up. You got winter storm warnings up for also northern areas of Missouri, winter weather advisory surrounding it. This right here is the event ongoing right now. This will continue to move out the picture as we get later into tonight and then overnight. But this is the beginning stages of this system. It's not necessarily a part of it, but this piece of energy right here that's creating all these winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings is going to link up and eventually be a player on what's going to happen in about 24, 36 hours here. So what we're going to do, really, we're going to switch it up. We're going to just focus on one model here, and we're going to look at the European as far as what it looks like precipitation-wise. Now, as far as snowfall accumulations, we're going to look at about 4 different models. We're going to take a look at the European, the GFS, the NAM, and the actual National Weather Service forecast on what they're calling for, because we are in range now. So let's start this off on what is going on really right now. As we're getting into this evening, snow will continue to break out over Nebraska, areas of Kansas. This will continue to move in overnight. We're getting into basically the middle of the night, Central Standard Time out here. Heavy band of snow potential. This will be above 10-to-1 ratio, meaning the snow is going to be falling at pretty cold temperatures as this Arctic front continues to basically drag south and set the stage for accumulating snow for a lot of people. And as we're getting going here, we're getting into your tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, areas of heavy snow starting to move into areas of northern Missouri, maybe a little bit of snow for Iowa also, really just the southern portions of Iowa. We continue to keep going here in time. This area of energy begins to phase out, and that's why I was mentioning it's not necessarily part of the system at whole. It re-intensifies right here as basically the northern stream starts to flirt with that southern stream, and then you have basically precipitation that begins to re-amplify itself almost. And then as we're getting into Friday morning, there'll probably will be some kind of lull tomorrow afternoon for really everybody that was previously experiencing snow several hours maybe before. But as we're getting into Friday morning, this is when you watch out for Dallas, Texas. How close does the frozen precipitation get to y'all? Will it stay all rain, just some cold rain? We're starting to have more confidence that this isn't going to be any kind of moderate to significant event for Dallas. But maybe the few counties, maybe 50 to 100, 150 miles north of Dallas, this could be maybe a little bit of winter weather. But anyways, don't want to focus too much on one city. But as we're getting into Friday morning, like I said, you got heavier snow based off the Euro, moderate to heavy snow, starting to break out over Oklahoma City, Tulsa area. And then we keep this rolling into the afternoon hours. And then snow begins to really move into southern Missouri, northwest Arkansas, the Ozarks. And it's crazy. And then this is when these two pieces of energy right into here begin to interact. You got the Gulf moisture right here. You got this northern stream energy. They begin to kind of phase together. So the moisture in general becomes heavier and becomes more amped up in general. So therefore, you got enough cold air right here in Arkansas, Missouri, and eastern areas of Oklahoma, and even northern Texas right into here. This is when Dallas could switch from rain to snow. And it definitely could happen. In fact, I'm almost expecting some kind of winter weather in Dallas, Texas. I just don't think To me, I don't think y'all are going to get like an inch of snow or anything, but who knows? It might happen. But as we're getting into late Friday afternoon into the evening hours, I'm talking about, anywhere from 5, 7 p.m. Friday night, your Friday evening, Friday night shenanigans might be spent with some snow, and I would enjoy it. This may be winter's last hurrah. I know a little people are annoyed by it, but, you only get winter, once a year technically. So, I mean, go on out there and enjoy it. It might be the last snow you see. Who knows? You might get some freak storm, maybe at the latter half of March, but really a lot of signs are pointing to another warm up here as we're getting into the second half of March. But here you go, snow breaking out over almost the entire state of Arkansas, the Quad States region, southern Illinois, the entire southern half of Indiana. You keep this going, and we can go on and flip a little further to the east now. We'll go on and speed up to that frame we were just at. And this is basically the middle of the night, Friday night into Saturday morning. So about midnight, 1 a.m., give or take an hour, you have snow. Basically, it's just snowing. I don't know if it's going to be snowing like crazy, but you got at least moderate snow falling in areas like Memphis, Tennessee, the entire western half of the state. Not a whole lot's changed over the last 48 hours of making these videos. They really haven't. I feel like I'm just kind of repeating myself at this point, but I do want to let you know that things are consistent for the most part. There is some wobbles back and forth, especially the GFS. The GFS, that's why I'm showing you the Euro, because the GFS is just kind of will wobble 100 miles of low pressure one way, then 100 miles back. So that's why I'm just focusing on the Euro. I don't feel the need to bounce back and forth between the Euro and the GFS here. But the Euro keeps it up. Go to the next frame here. We're getting into just full-fledged Saturday morning at this point. And at this point, Saturday morning, the entire state of Tennessee potentially could be waking up to light to moderate, really some folks, heavy snow. I think the plateau of Tennessee could see 2 to 3 inches, 4 or 5 inches maybe of snow, depending on where you are. It might be really elevation dependent. How quick do you turn to snow from rain initially? But what I'm really wondering, interested is what I'm trying to say, to see how much snow does northern Alabama, northern Mississippi get? How far does this rain snow line get into Mississippi? Heck, does areas of northern Louisiana even see a little bit of snow right at the tail end of this? But I think Huntsville, Alabama, for example, and surrounding small towns and communities could see maybe an inch of snow. I don't think it's out the realm of possibility at all, especially if you can get a burst of heavy snow. But I really think the entire from Nashville, Tennessee could see 1 to 2, 3, 4 inches of snow. I really think it's possible. In fact, the National Weather Service in Nashville, Tennessee already saying 1 to 2 inches. Watch out, Knoxville. I had somebody say, please mention Knoxville. And I don't blame you. You got Knoxville in this area. You got Chattanooga. You got a lot of cities in this area. I think Johnson City's in this region. I know a couple people up there. I think that this could be not necessarily a 24-hour event snowfall-wise, but I think you guys could get a thumping of snow for several hours. You could get maybe 1 inch per hour rates for several hours. I think it's possible. So I think eastern Tennessee, this region right in here, I think you guys are going to see accumulating snow for sure. But I think the jackpot region, as we're getting going here in time, I think it's going to be eastern Kentucky into West Virginia, especially the entire western half of West Virginia. And then you still watch for the southeast fringe of Ohio. I think y'all are going to see some snow too. But Pittsburgh, I've been saying this for the last couple videos. Pittsburgh accumulating snow is definitely almost certain at this point. I really think could be one of your bigger snowstorms of the year in Pittsburgh. But the Euro likes the idea of more snow as we're getting on through the cycle of this system into Saturday midday, Saturday afternoon. Likes this rain changing to snow in a large portion of Virginia, even outside the higher elevations of Virginia, like Washington, D.C., Maryland, changing to snow, especially the western and northern portions of Maryland. The entire state of Pittsburgh switches to moderate to heavy snow. Northern New Jersey at this time frame, moderate snow. Then you get into Saturday evening, and basically the entire I-95 corridor of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic is switching to some kind of form of moderate to heavy snow. And so we got to see what's going to happen. The GFS likes a warmer scenario for the Northeast, and almost a warmer scenario for everybody, which is a little bit uncommon for the GFS. But the GFS has been a much stronger model since they made that upgrade. So it's hard to discount the GFS altogether. But this is the last frame as we're getting into Saturday afternoon, evening, and then we're starting to get overnight Saturday into Sunday and leftover moisture, and then I think some northwest flow snow showers in West Virginia, North Carolina, Virginia, and those favored western slopes could definitely see some. I will mention the NAM also. I think it's worthy to mention the NAM because we're almost in full range of it. This is the NAM 12 km. You got the snow moving into Missouri. This is going to be heavy. Not necessarily heavy. It's going to accumulate a good bit because I think it's going to be snowing at much colder temperatures. If I look at that same time frame and I look at temperatures in this time frame, you know, you got snow falling in the mid-20s and the teens in certain areas right into here. So the snowfall ratios are going to be nice. They're going to be better than 10-to-1 for sure. Even with the warm weather y'all got several days ago, y'all are going to have some nice snowfall ratios. That's going to diminish. Then the moisture re-amplifies as we're getting into Friday morning. But the NAM is really dry for these areas of Oklahoma and Texas. So these are short-range models. They're kind of dry for you folks, like I said, in Oklahoma and Texas. But it really gets beefed up here, maybe a few hours of heavy snow in Arkansas, and then here comes the low pressure, really wanting to take a more GFS-type pattern. Track here with the low pressure. So we got to watch to see how that trends here. It really takes the low pressure, shoots it through West Virginia, and finally starts to tick it more easternly instead of more northernly in time as we get into Saturday morning. But even if this scenario was to play out, this is some pretty heavy snow all the way into the northern half of Alabama showing up with the NAM. So it's something we need to watch here for sure. As far as chances to see over 1 inch of snow, it's an automatic bet here for almost the entire state of Kansas. You're looking closer to Oklahoma City, you got anywhere from 70 to 80% chance to see over 1 inch of snow. Start to get into Dallas, you got a chance, but it's a very small chance, you know, anywhere from 5 to a 10 to a 15, 20% chance to see 1 inch of snow. But you start to get into the Ozarks, Arkansas, and then the whole entire state of Missouri in general, chances to see 1 inch of snow is in general over 80 to 90%, except that southern portion of Arkansas. But you look at the mid-Atlantic here, and we'll switch it over to this, and you know, you look at Tennessee in general, almost the entire state of Tennessee just about has over a 50% chance to see 1 inch of snow. Chattanooga, tricky spot. Really hoping for the best for you guys. A lot of people have asked me about Chattanooga. I'm hoping you guys can see at least 1 inch of snow. I'm really for pulling for folks around that area. I know y'all get gypped a lot here. But 12 minutes in, and we're just starting to look at snowfall accumulations. So I hope you guys have stuck with me because this gets interesting here. National Weather Service. It's a great thing to look at here. They're forecasting more for the central U.S. than any other model, and it's because it's accounting for snowfall ratios, I think, over 10-to-1 ratio. So between now and the next day, 24 hours basically, you're going to have over a half a foot of snow for areas of northern Kansas and then southern Nebraska. And then there's going to be a corridor right here, especially in kind of northwestern Arkansas, northwestern Missouri, where certain areas are going to see over a half a foot of snow. And then central Missouri, I think a few inches of snow is possible. And then it gets a little tricky down here in southern Missouri. But the Arkansas area, the National Weather Service does not want to give y'all what the other models are showing here. I'm about to show you that here in a second. So here's the GFS. You know, you look at Arkansas down here, the GFS, and then you compare it with the National Weather Service. GFS wants to give y'all widespread at least 2 to 3 to 4 inches. But the National Weather Service gives y'all, you know, except the far northwest portion of Arkansas, which is favored with higher elevation anyways, wants to just give y'all maybe a dusting to 1 inch at most. So as far as the GFS everywhere else, you know, in general, you know, I would definitely focus on the National Weather Service forecast for this area right here because GFS is only showing you 10-to-1 ratio. So you look at the Euro, same situation. It shows a little bit more snow for these areas in eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri, as opposed to you look at the National Weather Service. The biggest difference here is Arkansas. It really is. And then obviously you're looking at areas like western Tennessee also. You look at NAM, the NAM model, and it's just kind of everywhere. And that's just how the NAM is. It's not, it's kind of sporadic because of the model output it does here. But I definitely don't think it's going to be this sporadic in Arkansas where you just got like nothing here and then 2 or 3 inches there. I don't see that happening. But I like the idea it's showing here in Missouri and Kansas for sure. We'll jump back here and we'll look at the eastern U.S. here. This is the National Weather Service. It wants to give about 1 inch of snow for Memphis. It wants to give anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of snow for areas like Nashville, Tennessee. Areas in Kentucky. It wants to give the entire eastern half of Kentucky anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 inches of snow. It's not showing a lot of love to far northeast Tennessee, and I'm not sure why because I am decently confident the areas like Knoxville, points northeast are going to see a heavy burst of snow that's going to overcome any kind of warm ground temperatures. I might be totally wrong, guys, and that's part of doing what I do. I don't just come on here and talk and show you maps of snowfall accumulations that anybody could access really on the internet if they want to. I come in here and give you my own opinion too, and I really think this area right here in Tennessee and even in far western Virginia, I think y'all are going to get a period of heavy, wet snow that's really going to lay very well. I'm just saying. I hope I'm right for you guys that want winter weather. But you look in general, you look in the western half of Kentucky, the National Weather Service, 1 to 2 inches of snow. And then just kind of a light event for the Ohio Valley out here. The Ohio in general, I think it's going to snow more than this. West Virginia, it's going to snow more than this. I'm not trying to say I'm going against the National Weather Service, but they're always going to take the conservative side. They just always are. But they're going ham pretty much on the interior of New York State. And then Pittsburgh, 3 to 4, 5 inches of snow possible. And the northern fringe of Pennsylvania, you can definitely see anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of snow depending on where you are. It's elevation dependent, definitely in that region. You look at the GFS, and we're going to switch to the eastern U.S. here in this region. And GFS likes the idea of eastern Kentucky getting hammered. And you got to just see, the GFS really kind of screws you guys in Chattanooga. That's just what you got to watch for. I really hope you guys get at least an inch of snow. I really do. I know I've been talking about Chattanooga a lot, but I got a lot of people asking for that region, and I'm hoping that the Mother Nature pulls through for you guys. I really am. But Nashville to Memphis, accumulating snow is definitely going to happen. It's just how much is the question. Arkansas, central to northern Arkansas is going to see accumulating snow. We look at the European and we go to the eastern U.S., not the Great Lakes, the eastern U.S., and it looks like it's flipped to the 18Z model, which hasn't completely got done running yet. But the European it's backed off some from the crazy amounts it was showing, but the interior northeast is going to get slammed with this. But there's an opportunity for New England also to get a lot of snow, and forgive me for not mentioning you guys as much, but you look at the National Weather Service for New England. You guys, and this is accounting for the storm happening right now too. They're not really confident that something big is going to happen with this storm. But we'll have to see how this trends. How quick do y'all switch to snow? This is going to be a fast-moving system. So, it just depends on how quick y'all switch and how long y'all stay snow in these regions. But we kind of have to just watch I guess I just cannot speak. We basically need to watch to see how this system is going to interact and when it's going to phase and how quickly, how strong it's going to be. But, and then we will know really if areas of the Northeast, really speaking about the I-95 corridor, like New York City to Boston, for example, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, if you guys are going to see a heavy burst of snow sometime late Saturday, it all depends on what this system does as far as the two pieces of energy, how quickly and how slowly it does phase. But Kentucky, Nashville, I'm saying Nashville like it's a state. You can tell, guys, I'm running out of steam and a little breath here. But Tennessee, Kentucky, and I really think, I'm telling you, eastern Ohio is going to see, I think, several inches of snow. I think West Virginia, eastern Ohio, and eastern Kentucky, maybe even the far western sections of Virginia is going to be a jackpot for this storm. I really think it is. So we'll continue to watch how that does unfold. We look at the NAM for the eastern U.S. in general, and it's just kind of all over the place. It wants to, drop 10 inches of snow, almost 12 inches of snow for certain portions of Tennessee and Kentucky, but it's not completely done with the run. That's why you see this odd no amount up here in the interior Northeast in Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. It only goes 60 hours out, but it tells you the idea that I really think places like Buffalo, I think areas like Pittsburgh are going to maybe have a chance to get over a half a foot of snow with this. I really think it's possible here. So in general, we're watching this piece of energy and this piece of energy. How quickly, how slowly do they interact? Which one will it be? Will they interact slowly and phase together slowly? The next thing is, how long does it stay a positively tilted trough? It's a big question. We need all this to get really figured out, and I feel like we'll have a much better idea tomorrow, and we're going to get even more specific than we're getting tonight, which I feel like 20 minutes in, we've pretty much gotten very specific. I'm going to try to get a little bit closer to each state for you guys. These videos take a long time, so forgive me if I mention, if I forget to mention a certain city. It's never personal, But guys, when I'm running through these states, I start to get a little mumble chatter going, and I start to mumble up my words, and it's hard to remember every single, even when they're major cities in each state. It really is. It's something that I'm trying to get better at with being more fluent with. But these are the energies interacting and phasing together. Does this thing become negatively tilted? Because if it does, then the wind really becomes an issue. But there's also going to be a severe weather threat and a heavy rain threat. And I'm starting this off Friday morning. It's about, 24, 36 hours from now. Look at all this heavy Gulf moisture ahead of this cold. And this is part of all the system going on here. This is nasty storms, heavy rain moving into Georgia, the Carolinas. It is going to be a soaker for Georgia and the Carolinas, especially South Carolina, for your Friday. It's going to be raw. Not raw as in cold necessarily, but it's just going to be a washout Friday. Completely. And then there's going to be a severe weather threat too, and then some high winds overnight Friday into Saturday as this low pressure is developing and getting kicked up here. And we're going through it in time, in fact, and we're looking at the wind threat here going forward here. And here comes the low pressure developing down here. Right? This is potential wind gusts. Now, I don't see 65, 60, 55 mile per hour wind gusts down here, but we have to watch to see how this develops. We really do. And I just realized it's in it's definitely not in miles per hour here, so I need to switch it back. And I was wondering why it was showing these astronomical amounts here, but it could certainly be very windy. And let me try to switch back to the 12Z run here. Sorry I'm getting so sloppy at the end of the video, guys. Things are kind of working against me. But as we're moving through here in time, we're getting to when this low pressure begins to develop down here. We're getting into Friday morning, Friday afternoon. We're getting into overnight Friday into Saturday. Here is when these wind gusts really kick up. I think it's going to be a lot of loud noises if you're in the Carolinas overnight Friday into Saturday morning. And it's because this low pressure is going to be deepening to the northwest over the Appalachian Mountains or wherever it tracks. And so you're going to have a tight wind gradient. So you're going to have some gusty winds in this region. Cape Hatteras could gust to tropical storm force winds temporarily. The winds are going to be screaming in the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. And then this continues to go on. And where does this low pressure track? Do you get some strong winds that moves into southern New England? It's a big question here. But in general, it's going to be breezy across the entire eastern U.S. as this system strengthens and begins to move across the eastern U.S. in general. I'm talking widespread 30, 40, 50 mile per hour winds. And I think there's going to be some power outages with this heavy snow, especially, you look in eastern Tennessee, Kentucky, you need to back this up here, and winds are already gusting to 20 to 30 miles per hour with heavy, wet snow falling. So you're probably going to have power outages, so definitely be aware of that. But that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all's amazing support. Obviously the views have picked up over the last few days. Subscribers have went back up. So I definitely appreciate y'all tuning in and y'all bearing with me. I know my setup isn't the most appealing setup out there for people who do weather like I do, but I appreciate y'all supporting me regardless, watching me regardless. Love you all, guys. And y'all have a great night. I'll talk to y'all in the morning.